Let's start with a simple question. Why does the demolition and construction industry get such a bad press? Why is it in a world built quite literally by people in hard hats, high vis vests, and steel toed boots that those very same people are so often overlooked, undervalued, or outright disrespected? It's a strange contradiction because without this industry, there would be no hospitals, no schools, no houses, no supermarkets, stadiums, or roads. No high rises or railways, not even the power stations or the data centres that keep our lives ticking. Demolition and construction are not a necessary evil to tolerate and to castigate. They are the foundations, and that pun was absolutely intended. They are the foundations of everything that modern life depends upon. So, why then is this industry so often on the receiving end of public skepticism, media criticism, and even political indifference? There are more than 2.5 million people working in construction related roles across the UK. That's around 7% of the entire national workforce. The sector contributes more than £130 billion to the UK economy each year, accounting for roughly 6% of total GDP. And when you factor in demolition, waste management, material supply, equipment manufacture, and the countless businesses supporting the supply chain, that number rises significantly. This industry is big, it's vital, and it's everywhere. Sadly, however, the love for construction is less common, less easy to find. In fact, it often feels like there's a global conspiracy to make the industry look bad. Why is it that when a new movie wants to depict chaos, they immediately show images of collapsing buildings and screaming construction workers? Why is it that when a journalist wants to write about risk, recklessness, or poor health and safety, the example they reach for is a building site? And why is it that in careers fairs up and down the country, construction is presented as a last resort for those who didn't get their grades? Let's explore a few possible answers. First, risk. Construction, and especially demolition, does carry inherent danger. Heavy machinery, heights, confined spaces, structural instability. The risks are real, and unfortunately, when something goes wrong, it often goes very wrong. Every serious incident makes the news. Every fatality rightly sparks outrage. But here's the thing the news headlines always overlook. This industry doesn't shy away from risk, it manages it. Modern demolition and construction sites are governed by some of the strictest safety regulations in the world. We have risk assessments and method statements, exclusion zones, PPE protocols, and site specific inductions that put many other industries to shame. Yet that work, those daily acts of care, diligence, and prevention, rarely make the headlines. Disaster sells, discipline doesn't. Then there's the issue of working conditions. Let's be honest, construction is tough. It's muddy, noisy, cold in the winter, and boiling hot in the summer. There's rain, there's wind, sometimes there's snow. There are delays and frustrations, and an endless stream of logistics and labour. And while most of the country clocks off at 5 o'clock or heads inside when it rains, demolition and construction workers are still out there, pouring concrete, erecting steel, operating machinery. Maybe that's part of the issue. Maybe the discomfort and difficulty of the job has made it seem less appealing, less aspirational in a world that increasingly values the clean, the digital, and the remote. But does hard mean less? Should physical labour be looked down upon just because it involves sweat instead of spreadsheets? We celebrate Olympic athletes for their physical feats, but mock construction workers for theirs. It's a hypocrisy we don't talk about anywhere near enough. And what about perception? What about the cultural caricatures? The wolf whistling builder, the lazy labourer, the backstreet cowboy with no paperwork and a rusty van. These tired old tropes linger like asbestos in your attic. They're outdated and they're damaging because today's industry is highly skilled, highly technical, and highly regulated. Contrary to what the public are often told, this is not an industry stuck in the past. It's one that's building the future, literally. And yet, as a society, we've become dangerously disconnected from the work behind the walls around us. We live in homes someone else built. We drive on roads that someone else laid. We heal in hospitals that someone else constructed. And we don't give it a second thought. It's as if we've lost sight of where buildings actually came from. They're made block by block, beam by beam, by real people with real skill, real knowledge, and real pride. And maybe that's what this monologue is really all about. Pride. Pride this industry takes in its work, and the pride it deserves in return. Because, yes, there are still challenges. There are still some rogue operators who cut corners, some employers who exploit their workforce, and some conditions that fall short. No industry is perfect. But the vast majority of construction and demolition professionals are doing honest work, skilled work under demanding conditions to incredibly high standards. And they rarely get the recognition they deserve. Instead, we hear politicians praising job creators in tech and finance. We see TV shows glamorizing the hustle of office life. We hear school teachers telling kids to aim for university rather than ending up on a site. But here's the truth that newspapers, politicians, and teachers will not tell you. There's dignity in labour. There's honour in building. There is heroism in hard hats. And we should be teaching that. We should be celebrating that. We should be showing children that working in construction is not a fallback, it's a future and a rewarding one. The demolition and construction industry deserves better than bad press. It deserves our gratitude.